As I was explaining in part one, the slippery slope is a reality when you're talking about political power. And if you look at around 1765 to 1775, you can discover a battle between those who were calling out the slippery slope and those telling them, oh, you're overreacting, basically gaslighting them. Oh, you're crazy, you're a bad person for even questioning this incremental increase in the level of abuse. And Patrick Henry was one who was calling out the real, true slippery slope in action. For example, in 1775, with what is known today as the Gunpowder Incident or the Gunpowder Affair of 1775. So, in the book Lion of Liberty, which is about Patrick Henry, the subtitle is Patrick Henry and the Call to a New Nation. It's by Harlow Giles Unger. There's something that he said that is relevant to this analysis of the corrupting nature of power and how it causes true slippery slopes. So, speaking about the British Crown, the British authorities there having taken the public ammunition supply from the storehouse, what they called a magazine back then. He said the next step will be to disarm the people, right? He saw it as, and I'm reading from page 103 in this book. That's where the Gunpowder Incident and the relevant quote can be found if you're interested in the hardcover edition. So first they, take this one storehouse, take the ammunition from this one storehouse, but he rightly saw that this is just the sign of things to come, right? We have the popular saying, give them an inch and they'll take a mile. So he saw this as them taking that inch, so to speak. And he was right. They were escalating. And also relevant in American history is, of course, the famous British Stamp Act, right? So when colonists were first protesting this, they again got that same reaction of, oh, you're overreacting, you're crazy, being gaslit again for speaking out against abuse, right? Abusers want to gaslight those that they're abusing so that they'll cave and just go along with it. So, quoting from same book, page 30, 1765, when news arrived that Britain's Parliament had passed the Stamp Act, the first direct tax Parliament had ever imposed on American colonists. So it was the first direct tax. And so this was seen as a significant new level of abuse, right? That they were previously not subject to, and they saw it as an encroachment, which it was, that would just inevitably lead to further encroachment, which is exactly what happened. And that's why, Patrick Henry was against the forming of the federal government, giving them all the powers that they were being set up to have, because he foresaw it would just end up being the very thing that they were fighting against with the British. And he was right. Fast forward just a a little bit in history, you have the Whiskey Rebellion, right? Then the newly formed group of extortionists, the Federalists, that had defeated Patrick Henry and the Anti-Federalists and usurping control of the new government. They brought about this whiskey tax, right? And so the colonists rebelled against that. Same as they were rebelling against the taxation from the British, right? So I just came across this little short 5-second video. It was actually a clip from a video game where whoever in the game is saying, I've come for give me your money and your guns. And then he titled the video, Government in a Nutshell. And that's true. That's what the American Revolution was fighting against, was against gun control and taxation. And that continues to be what people that want to be free from abusive government control are mainly concerned about, right? Or should be concerned about, is that they're extorting our money and doing whatever they want with it, doing all these things that we don't agree with our money. And then on top of that, they're disarming nonviolent people, right? So it's a tyrannical situation. And the history just keeps repeating. So, countless other examples could be given of politicians saying, oh, we're just doing this one small little measure, and then it turns out that it's a deception. It turns out they're a deceptive parasite looking to just take and control as much as they possibly can. And maybe that's because they're ultimately possessed by an evil spirit. An excellent book that I just finished is titled Karl Marx and the Satanic Roots of Communism, and it talks about how there's a lot of merit actually to the theory that communists are basically just a bunch of demon-possessed people. They just are set on abusing and controlling and, slandering those that go against their abusive control. And ultimately, they're just about destruction. They don't even have loyalty to those that serve them. They end up destroying them too, which is just a complete, evil spirit of destruction. There's no goodness in it whatsoever, right? If they were loyal to those that were loyal to them, that would be, you could say, somewhat of a virtue there, but they don't have that. They're virtueless. It's just pure evil, a spirit of pure evil. So, of course, in much more recent times, we had the whole lockdown situation where, at first they said, oh, it'll just be a couple weeks, right? And then ended up being years, right? And then they're just looking to bring it back again and again. So you think, oh, well, it's just a mask, it's just 2 weeks. And then anyone like myself who said it's not just a mask, they're setting a precedent. They're trying to have us accept the premise that the state owns and therefore can control our bodies and can prescribe medical devices for us. If we accept that, that could lead to a true slippery slope. It's already a major abuse in and of itself and could lead to further abuse. And people, told me and others, no, you're overreacting, like you're just a conspiracy theorist. You think that there are evil people in positions of power. Well, yeah, there are, and there always have been. Like this is the main blunder, isn't thinking like, oh, they're not corrupted by the power and they're not doing anything wrong in the first place by holding these positions of power. So again, it's ignoring the fact that power corrupts and they shouldn't have that power in the first place.